Welcome. If you're a woman who has a sense that there's more out there for you, you're in the right place. I'm Whitney Baker, host of the Electric Ideas podcast. Somewhere along the line of work and kids, life carried on, but I lost track of my truth. I'm on a reflective journey, and that's what this podcast is all about. Each week, I interview a woman who is lighting her own path and offering others hope. Before our conversation ends, we'll share a reflective question for you to explore. Sometimes all we need is a jolt, a fresh idea, an aha moment that connects us to a sense of possibility. This, my friends, is what I call an electric idea. Welcome back to Electric Ideas. I'm your host, Whitney Baker. So this summer, I had a chance to be a student again for 8 weeks. I enrolled in a mindfulness-based stress reduction class at Brown University that they offer through their public health department. So for every Wednesday, for 8 weeks, I woke up on the early side. I joined the online course at 7 a.m. And this happened to fit my schedule because my husband already covers Wednesdays for our family. And my girls are at an age where they usually sleep until about 9:30. So they were often still in bed when I was finished with my weekly 2.5 hours of in-class time. I know for some people, this probably sounds like I'm trying to be an overachiever or punishing during summertime, but I really listened to my own need for a bit of structure and intellectual rigor during a season that's really fun, but sometimes all over the place for me energetically. Summer is a time when I intentionally lean back from my work so that I have a lot more flexibility to spend time with my family. But through years of trial and error, I've realized that it works best when there's something in there that I'm really looking forward to as well. So I was really excited for this opportunity to learn and take a deeper dive into mindfulness. I find mindfulness a deep, rich topic and one I've studied. But taking this class was a really special opportunity for me to create the space for myself to listen and practice and learn, and also remember that the classroom for mindfulness, all the homework exercises, are basically a study in how you were showing up in your actual life. So I believe in an examined life. I believe in being aware of what we're doing every day because our days become our weeks, become our years, become our lives. And so whether you want to call it mindfulness or intentional living or something else, I just want to share a few priority areas that were really reinforced to me by the fresh teachings I was lucky enough to absorb over the summer. So here are 3 things I'm working on right now, places in my life where I'm shining a bit more attention, intention, and really being aware of how my attitude is coming into play. Number 1, being more aware and appreciative of food. I think anyone listening to this podcast knows that eating nutritious foods is good for you and healthy and blah, blah, blah. And I know this is an area where there's information overload, shame, disappointment, pressure, all these weird emotions. But lately for me, I'm in a phase of truly seeing food as medicine and honoring and appreciating the food I put in my body by consuming it in ways that don't necessarily require more time, but do require a bit of practice and awareness. I purposely said at the top that these are things I'm working on because perfection isn't where I'm at or even what I'm aiming for, but I'm in a phase of life where I truly want to be aware and awake to my own life and attuned to the ways of being that enable me to live most vibrantly, to feel my best, and in doing so, give away the best version of myself to others. The way I eat is part of the puzzle. So I hope you savor and enjoy the Italian dinner out with your partner or the pumpkin latte with your friend and that scoop of ice cream with your kids. But when it's just you and you're feeding yourself a meal, how would it feel to use this daily occurrence to quietly tend to yourself? Here are a couple practices I am working on. So once your food is on your plate, I don't care if it's a simple pause or you think of it as an intention or a prayer or a moment of gratitude, but having a simple mantra before you eat can feel really supportive. So, through a lot of my own inner work, I realized that one habit that has been holding me back is that for some reason, especially at dinner time, I tend to overeat, even if it's healthy food. I just tend to somehow go unconscious and eat past a point where I feel good and tip into a point where I feel stuffed and uncomfortable. And as I said, I'm bringing awareness and trying to get to the bottom of habits that stand between me feeling and showing up my best. So, my mantra that I'm working on when it works, and again, I'm saying this because women put so much pressure on themselves across the board. And it's okay to do stuff like this when you can versus not doing it ever because you can't do it 100% of the time. So, my mantra that I'm working on for myself is before I eat, saying, this is exactly what my body needs to feel nourished. I know there have been past versions of me who have eaten the rejected half waffle off my kid's plate in the morning because I'm starving and I didn't make time for myself, or who unconsciously just ate some of the fries on my kid's plate if we were out to dinner, but didn't really even enjoy them. So, what I'm really working on is bringing a little bit more reverence to not only what I'm eating, but how I'm eating it. If you're feeling like you're leaning into this conversation, a few other things you can try are making a commitment to not eat standing, to not eat in front of a screen, and to not eat in a car. I'm really enjoying working on this and this completely different vibe around food for women than the disempowering 90s diet culture bullshit so many of us were served up during formative years of tending to our bodies. It's such a shift to think about food as a deep opportunity to nourish yourself and honor yourself. And since eating is something we all do every day, it's a perfect opportunity to practice awareness. Okay, moving on to a second area of my life where I'm currently working on, and that is the area of being a deeper listener to my husband. And if you don't have a partner or a husband or a wife, what I'm working on can ring true for anybody you love, who you talk to or see regularly. So I've talked to my husband about this. And one hard part about being a parent that I'm hyper aware of is that my work and my community, and I hope my kids often get to experience the most vibrant version of me. But especially during the week when I usually only see my husband in the evenings, sometimes he gets what I call table scraps of my energy and attention. Literally, I found myself this week, a week that has been trying for me for personal reasons. I found myself just acknowledging to him and saying, I'm sorry, this is a week when you're kind of just getting table scraps of me. But this weekend and next week, that will not be the pattern. I feel very compelled to talk about this week because in this meaningful and unexpected conversation I had with someone I don't know very well this week, we started talking about Esther Perel, an icon in relationship therapy who I hadn't thought of in forever. And I was like, okay, I got to look into Esther again. People need to hear this message. So one of Perel's central ideas is that relationships thrive not from these grand gestures, but from everyday moments of what I'll call mindful presence. And she really emphasizes the importance of deep, attentive listening in order to sustain close relationships. Since I felt so called to revisiting some of Perel's work this week, I want to share a quote. She says, "The quality of your life ultimately depends on the quality of your relationships. The quality of your relationships depends on the quality of your conversations." So, in this category of informal ways I'm working on bringing mindfulness into my listening practices, here are a few simple things I'm working on that you can try on for size. So, first, I say this often, but put away your phone, your weapon of mass distraction. Even having a phone in your hand can feel like you're distracted. I think when you're talking to your partner and he or she even has their phone in their hand, it can feel like they're distracted. I also think we need to give ourselves grace because we're living in a world where we are inundated with an overwhelming amount of information, more information than I think as humans we are built to process. So I think a lot of us habitually turn to our phones at night when we are tired or just feeling unproductive because we have this likely false habitualized notion that we'll find something that makes us feel more fulfilled, accomplished, or entertained. But often, I think what we're really craving is the real connection that we're missing out on that's right in front of us. If this sounds at all familiar, don't be afraid to leave your phone in a different room for a while. Hey, it's Whitney. I wanted to take a chance to pause this episode and remind all the moms in my community that the doors to Season to Shift, my signature mastermind for moms, are open. I have a few spots left. I want to take a second to read a piece of feedback I got from one of my clients. She said, I noticed my to-do lists were heavily catered to making the prominent people in my life feel balanced and happy. But my need for more personal fulfillment and excitement was also bleeding through my journal, trying to lift itself off the pages. I think what I realized quickly is I need to spend more time digging into what makes my heart skip a beat and then modeling that for my loved ones. I think I've been trying to control the narrative for so long, I forgot about my own narrative. I felt pulled to share this Season to Shift client feedback because I think it really encapsulates the transformation the women who are signed up for my program can look forward to. For the 6-week program, there's a theme every week that was lovingly curated and expanded on by me. We use techniques that I've long time taught and practiced in my own life, such as meditation and personal writing, to give ourselves a chance to pause and really truth tell in our own lives. The unfortunate reality in this high demand culture we're living in right now is that I think it's really hard for moms to create this kind of sacred space for themselves. When you sign up for Season to Shift, not only will you have guidance and space, but you also get this incredible community of women who see you and have your back. And it's such a life-giving, pivotal experience. Like I said, a few slots remain. This program will sell out. So please don't hesitate. Grab your spot while you can at myelectricideas.com/mastermind/. You can also find a link in this episode of the podcast. And if you have any questions, I invite you to reach out to me directly. I love hearing from listeners. I'd love to answer any questions about Season to Shift. You can email me directly at whitney@myelectricideas.com. Hope to see you in Season to Shift. Okay, back to the show. Here's a second small thing you can try. It's called Sit With, Don't Solve. So it's really natural to want to fix things, especially when you're talking to someone you love, and maybe he or she had things that happened in their day that weren't so great. But sometimes I've learned what they need most is for us to just be there and listen. This is a really, really hard one for me because my impulse is to want to help people feel better. But sometimes people just want to be heard. And so instead of needing to jump in and respond with a solution, can you practice staying present to listen and receive what your partner is trying to share? And lastly, in this listening category, this is tangential to what I was just talking about. But in addition to practicing not needing to solve things when someone's sharing something difficult with you, one thing I'm working on in my relationship with my husband is just listening with patience and not starting to think about my own response. And while we're listening, our mind naturally just starts mentally preparing what we're going to say next in a conversation. And it takes away from our ability to just deeply listen. So something you can try is just to practice trusting that what you need to say will come up naturally, or that it's okay to have moments of silence. It really shows that you're fully engaged and not just waiting for your turn to talk. I know when life is busy and you're a mom and you've got all the emails and the home and the kids and so many things taking your attention, it can feel really hard to have any energy left to share with your partner. But I believe that sometimes all it takes is true presence in our listening for our partners to feel like they're getting more than breadcrumbs of our attention. A third area that I'm working on is being spacious and gracious with what's true. So, as women, I think it's really easy for us to get in cycles of harsh self judgment. When uncomfortable emotions come up, we are biologically wired to react in a way of fight, like, oh my gosh, I'm an animal and I'm being attacked, I'm going to claw back. Flight, like, I sense panic, danger, unknown, get me out of here. Or freeze, which is obvious. We're just kind of stuck, can't do anything. I think it's really common also to use numbing behaviors, whether it's food, alcohol, mindlessly shopping online or scrolling online to avoid feelings we don't want to face or that feel really uncomfortable. In my own life, when I am feeling feelings that are uncomfortable, such as feeling reactive, angry, irritated, anxious, I'm trying to change my attitude toward these feelings. And I'm also trying to more deeply turn my attention toward the discomfort instead of away. And this awareness is the first step. Instead of being frustrated that we are a human being having a very human experience and an emotional reaction to something that could be bothering us for reasons totally out of our control, instead, can we be spacious and gracious with what's true? Can we soften and be tender with ourselves instead of denying ourselves or shaming ourselves for not feeling the way we think we are supposed to feel or that we want to feel? I've learned the more we become comfortable with the uncomfortable and tending to difficult emotional states with a sense of love and support and compassion for ourselves, the more we invite in the possibility of different choices in these moments. Instead of avoiding or pushing down or reacting, with awareness and openness and practice, it becomes easier to sit with these unsavory emotions and give yourself a chance to make the wisest decision you can in that given moment. Like I mentioned, this is not easy, and I don't think it's really encouraged in our society. So here are a couple things you can join me in trying if you're looking to be more mindful when you're in these emotions. Number one, when you feel reactive or overwhelmed, pause, take a deep breath, and ask yourself, what am I experiencing in my body right now? I found tuning into the body such an important practice to me. So, for example, if you are feeling anxiety, sitting, maybe taking a quick beat, take a breath, close your eyes, and just identify where you're feeling that anxiety in your body. I've learned that when I shine a compassionate light on that area, oftentimes the energy just kind of shifts and moves on its own. Another practice you can try is anchoring into touch. So, using physical touch, whether it is placing a hand on your heart or simply holding something in your hand, such as a rock or a stone as a grounding tool. This tactile experience for many can help activate the parasympathetic nervous system and calm the body's stress response, calm that feeling of fight or flight. And this physical sensation can help you feel grounded and anchored as you draw your awareness to sticky, tricky emotions. It can also help give you just that smidgen of distance so that you're able to practice witnessing and experiencing your emotions without becoming totally consumed or derailed by them. So it's really the difference of a conscious choice to sit with something that's uncomfortable versus a subconscious choice where you just let the emotions run the show. Again, we are all humans and we are going to have moments when we are reactive, when we're in low capacity days, when we didn't sleep well, when we're not resourced, and we're not able to make a super clear, wise decision. And that is totally human and totally normal. But in my own life, I've learned that in some instances, I have pattern interrupts where I can start tending to turbulent emotions, almost cradling them like they're a little baby that just needs my attention before they overtake me completely. And it feels so empowering and life-giving when you're able to start making these shifts. So I know I've covered a ton of territory for one episode. I want to quickly recap a few key takeaways. Here are 3 of the important ways I'm integrating mindfulness into my day-to-day life right now. Number 1, I'm practicing being more aware and appreciative of food. Put your food on an actual plate. Sit down. Use a blessing, an intention, or a mantra of some sort, whatever feels right to you. And try to cut out eating while standing, eating in front of a screen, or eating while driving. Number 2, I'm working on practicing deep listening, putting away the phone, and being able to sit with somebody, specifically my husband, without needing to problem solve any issues or challenges that he might be having. And also just practicing listening with a deep sense of presence versus planning how I'm going to respond. And trusting that me being that open container to really receive what he needs to express is often the most important thing. Finally, number 3, I'm working on being more spacious and gracious with what's true for me emotionally, even when it's not convenient. So I'm working on being even more open and curious and really tending to any tough emotional states and really trying to tend to them gently, not expecting myself to feel a different way or shaming myself for knowing better. You might want to try practicing taking a few deep breaths and exploring how an emotion feels in your body. Or we also talked about exploring anchoring to physical touch, which can help ground your nervous system so you can stay present with your emotions without letting them sweep you away completely. I always end my episodes with a reflection, and for today, I simply invite you to take notice of which of these areas you feel most stirred by. Trust whatever comes to mind first, and then choose one practice in that area that you're going to intentionally explore in the coming week. Thanks for tuning in. Be well. If this episode inspired you, please share it with someone you love so they can be inspired too. I'm so glad you joined me today. If you're looking for more, feel free to connect with me on Instagram at @WhitneyWoman. And if you enjoyed the show, I invite you to support me by leaving a review or sharing it with a friend. Hope you have an inspired day.